I always thought my past had been buried in the flames of my 13th year, until this morning when a wounded man in the canyon looked straight at me and asked, "Are you Rowan Hale, the one with the mark?" I'd never shown that tattoo to anyone. Heck, I don't even remember where I got it. But he sounded like he'd been chasing me for half my life. Then, from the cliff, someone called down in a voice so familiar it made my skin crawl. "Rowan, your mother owes me something. Now it's your turn to pay." In that moment, I understood something. I wasn't just saving a wounded man. I'd just reopened the door to a secret that I was the center of. There was nothing special about the morning in Thorn Canyon. I wasn't hunting, I wasn't meeting anyone, I just wanted to ride Brim around to stretch my mind. Dusty road, light wind, hot rock smell. Normally, I don't pay attention to those things, but this morning I felt strangely uncomfortable, like someone was watching from behind. I figured it was just the lack of sleep. When I heard the choking breathing coming from the bottom of the rock crevice, I didn't think much of it. It was a professional reflex. If someone was stuck, I'd pull them up. Otherwise, they'd stink in this gorge tomorrow. I tied the horse and slid down the cliff. The man lay below, his leg stuck by a rock the size of a water barrel. His face was as pale as wax, and he was sweating more than blood. He stammered, Don't come any closer. They'll kill you too." I raised my eyebrows. I won't die that easily. I looked at the jam. It was a rock slide from above, not a trap. His hands were shaking so much that I said, "Take a deep breath. I'll push. You pull your leg. Bear the pain." I pushed with my shoulder against the rock. It didn't budge. I changed the angle. My shoulder hurt and the dirt hit my neck, but it finally moved a few inches. He screamed as he pulled his leg out. The scream shook the cliff. But it wasn't the scream that stopped me. "Are you Rowan Hale?" I never told him my name. I didn't wear a badge or anything that would make me instantly recognizable. "Who told you?" He looked at me as if I were the last person in the world who could save him. "They hunted you for the mark on your back, the one your mother took." I froze for a few seconds. I didn't remember anything about the mark. I'd never looked closely at my back. My mother always covered it with a red scarf. She told me not to let anyone see it. I was about to ask more when, boom, a rock rolled from the edge of the mountain. Then footsteps, laughter. They didn't come by accident. They followed me. I pulled the man to his feet, threw his arm over my shoulder, and walked quickly into the narrow passage. My heart was pounding, but my head was clear. I didn't know who they were. I didn't know what they wanted, but they clearly knew more about me than I did. A man's voice echoed down, "Rowan Hale, don't run this time." I took a deep breath. I had only intended to ride this morning to clear my head, and I ended up getting caught up in something involving my mother, something I'd avoided all my life. And for the first time, I understood. They didn't want to kill me right away. They wanted the secret inside me. I pulled the man back into the crevice, narrow enough for us to stand close together without being seen from above. He was shaking so much he could barely stand. The smell of blood from his feet began to permeate the hot, dry air. I whispered, "Keep quiet. If you fall, don't scream." He nodded, his face pale. From above, the crunching of footsteps on gravel was clearly audible. Not one person, more. A man's voice echoed down, drawn out in a maddening voice. "Rowan, I know you down there." My neck went cold. I recognized that voice immediately, even though I hadn't heard it in years. That man had stood in my yard the night it burned down. I remembered his figure against the flames. I remembered my mother pulling me to run. I remember his laughter as he chased after me. I pulled out my Colt, checked the chamber. There were 6 bullets left. He whispered, "You know him?" I answered simply, "Enough to want to shoot him." Another man shouted down, "Hale, don't make me drag you out like an animal." I looked up at the crack of light between the rocks. They couldn't see where I was hiding, at least not yet. But the way they moved, they would find me sooner or later. "What's your name?" "Caleb." "Okay, Caleb, I'm serious. Can you run?" Probably no. I took a deep breath. This is bad. A bullet exploded overhead. Gravel fell in a clatter. Caleb jumped. I pressed him lower. They're just shooting to see how we'll react. Don't move. Why do they want you so badly? I didn't want to say. But if I didn't, he would die without knowing what he was being dragged into. My mother disappeared after a chase. The only one who joined the chase was that voice. And he wants the mark on your back? I frowned. I haven't seen it yet, but he seems to know better than me. His laughter echoed down, closer than before. Rowan, you think I don't know which corner you're hiding in? He was going down both paths at the same time, splitting up, pressing in. Old, but effective. I fired a warning shot into the cliff. The sound of the bullet hitting the rock made a few of them curse and hide. You're giving away your position. No, they're going to think I'm stupid. I pulled Caleb along the edge of the cliff, each step slow and steady. The path was as thin as a rope. If I slipped, I would fall into the abyss. But if I went the other way, I would run straight into the pursuers. I leaned into Caleb's ear and said quickly, "When I say run, you run straight toward the light. Don't look back. If you fall, keep rolling. Just keep away from them." "What about you?" Caleb trembled. "I'm stalling for time." "Are you crazy?" "Probably." Then I shouted loudly, deliberately to make it resonate. "Hey, if you want to catch me, come down here and talk." A laugh answered immediately. I knew he was interested. He loved the game of hunting people. A dark figure appeared half-body on the cliff, his voice clear as if right in front of me. "Rowan Hale, I finally found you." I raised my gun straight at him. "Let me ask you this. What do you want from me?" He tilted his head, a cold smile on his face. "What your mother owes me, and what you're carrying without knowing it." My heart skipped a beat. Even Caleb froze. "Your mark," he said slowly, "is half the map." I pulled the trigger, but didn't fire. Not yet. "What about the other half?" I asked, my voice low. "Your mother carries it, and I'll use you to find her." For a second, the air around me went cold. Not because he mentioned my mother, but because he spoke as if she were still alive. The leer stood on the edge of the cliff, his gun slowly slung, as if he were enjoying the hunt. I had never seen him clearly in the daylight. The long scar that ran from his neck down to his shoulder made him look so familiar that it sent shivers down my spine. Caleb tugged gently at my sleeve, his voice low, as if trying not to let out a breath. He knew your mother. He said your mother was still alive." I didn't answer. My heart was pounding, but my head was uncomfortably clear. For years, I had told myself that my mother was gone. Believing otherwise could trick my brain into thinking otherwise. I didn't allow myself to expect. "Rowan, you've been running for a long time, but I always knew you would come back. Blood can't escape fate." I moved my feet, looking for a firing position. But before I could aim, 2 more men came charging down from the left. He had waited for me to be caught off guard. "Run, Caleb," I shouted. I shot the man on the right in the leg, and he fell over. The other man pointed his gun straight at me. I rolled to the side, my back hitting the rock, knocking the breath out of my chest. Caleb was running, limping, but faster than I thought. I pulled the trigger again, hitting the other man in the arm. He screamed, but the leader didn't react. He looked at me as if he were examining an object. "The tattoo on your back," he said, his voice no longer mocking, but strangely serious. "Have you ever seen it?" I tightened my grip on the gun. "No." He nodded slightly, as if he had expected it. "Of course. Your mother has kept it hidden all her life. It is the key to the sacred box. The map is written on your skin. It is not a luggage, but a curse." "What the hell are you talking about?" "Take off your vest. I will take a look and tell you everything." I am not stupid. "No, you are scared." I loaded the gun, not taking my eyes off him. "You try to step down here and see who is scared." "You are her son." At that moment, 3 more gunshots rang out from afar. Not mine, not his. It was Caleb. He hid behind a rock a few dozen meters away, shooting randomly at his men to attract attention. The leader cursed, turned the gun toward Caleb. I immediately shot at the rock in front of him to throw dust into his eyes. He raised his hand to cover his face, and I took the opportunity to dive into a lower crevice. Gravel fell all over my face. My body slid down the slope, my shirt tearing a long way. When I hit my back on the rock below, I heard a cold sound of wood tearing. It must have been my leather jacket that had ripped off my back. I tried to stand up, but Caleb was already at my side. "Rowan, your back, blood." "No, not a scratch. I saw it." I stopped. "See what?" He swallowed, his face turning purple. "The tattoo. It's not a normal one. It's like a compass symbol. There's a spiral and strange characters." I stood still, as if someone had poured ice